that you are very welcome to attend this service. This is our combined Nirvana Day, the memorial for the passing of the historical Buddha Shakyamuni, and our pet memorial we combine once a year, remembering those pets who've made our lives so much better than they otherwise would have been. So I will begin the service by ringing the calling bell outside, and I'll come back in. Please bear with us, if you will. Namo Amitabutsu, Namo Dabutsu, Namo Amitabutsu, Namo Dabutsu, Namo Amitabutsu, Namo Dabutsu, Namo Dabutsu. Namo Butsu. Namo Amitabutsu. Namo Dabutsu. Namo Amitabutsu, Namo Dabutsu, Namo Amitabutsu, Namo Dabutsu. Well, again, welcome to our service. We're recording and broadcasting here on February 20th of the year 2022. Again, our combined memorial service for the historical Buddha Shakyamuni, the Nirvana Day, and a pet memorial, a memorial for our pets, recollection of those pets who have enhanced the quality of our lives. I will move on to the sutra chanting portion of the service. We're going to chant Sanbutsu Ge. Please join me as you will. We rely upon the source of limitless wisdom and endless life. Namo Amitabutsu, Namo Dabutsu, Namo Dabutsu, Namo Amitabutsu, Namo Dabutsu, Namo Dabutsu. Busetsu Daimuryo Jukyo Sanbutsu Ge Kogen Gigi Ijin Mugoku Nyode Enmyo Buyo Tosha Nichigatmani Shuko Enyo Kaishtonpe Yunyaku Jumoku Nyodai Yogen Tyothe Murin Shongaku Daion Koru Jippo Kaimon Shojin Tamai Chie Itoku Muryo Shusho Keiyu Jintai Thenen Shobuten Hokai Gujin Jinno Kungongai Tai Mumyo Yokunu Seison Yomu Ninno Shishi Jintoku Muryo Kukun Kodai Chie Jinmyo Komyo Itho Shindo Daisen Gangata Buten Daisho Ho Kado Shoji Mihu Gedaten Futhe Joi Kainin Shojin Yode Samai Chie Ijo Gothe Toku Buten Fugyo Shigan Isai Kuku Ithadayan keshi ubutun yakuten nokuman Muryo daisho shunyongodya kuyo itai shito shobutun funyongudo kensho hugyaku hinyongodya shobutun sekai bufu kage mushu setendo komyo shisho henshisho kokunyo de shojin ijin nanryo Ryoga sabutun kokudo daichi goshu kimyo dojo chosetun kokunyo nayon nimutoso gato aimindo datun isai jipo raisho shinetun shojo ito ga kokukeraku anon kobutun shinmyo zega shinsho hotsugan no hi Rikisho shoyoku jipo seison chie muge joryo shison shiga shingyo keiryo shinshi shoku dokuchu gagyo shojin ninju hoke Namandabu, 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 namandabu. Ganiya shikudoku, byodo sei itai, dohon monai shin onyo on la koku. Namandabu, 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 namamira butsu, namandabutsu, namamita butsu, namandabutsu, namanabutsu, namamira butsu, namanabutsu. I will now ask your help in singing the Gatha in Lumbini's garden. If you're working off a book, it's page 117. It's also going to be up here on the screen. Do I do one verse, just one verse, or all three? Three verses will do. All three, yeah, we'll do all three. Okay, so help me along. strains of music rang. Gods and men and angels, all for worship came. Glory to Siddhartha, glory to his name. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Nabutsu, Namo Nabutsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Nabutsu, Namo Nabutsu. I didn't get Kyoko's first message, so we're going to put it in before the three treasures. You come up and do the first one. So we're going off script here. I will read the three treasures with you in just a moment, but first Kyoko Okura Gibbs will read a passage from the teachings of the Buddha.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My reading is from a book, The Teaching of Buddha by Dendo Kyokai.
We can get copies of these for anybody who wants them before you leave.
Buddha will never disappear as long as enlightenment exists. Enlightenment appears as the light of wisdom that awakens people into a newness of life and causes them to be born into the world of Buddha. Those who realize this become the children of Buddha. They keep his Dharma, honor his teachings, and pass them on to posterity. Nothing can be more miraculous than the power of Buddha.
Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Da Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Da Butsu.
Thank you.
Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Da Butsu. Thank you, Kyoko. And now I will read with you the three treasures, and I play leader for this morning, and we all play all. Again, page 10 if you're working off the OCBC Seiten, and it'll be on the screen there for those with the, boy, you don't have to have very good eyesight for that. That's beautiful. The three treasures. How rare and wondrous it is to have been born into human life, and now I live it. How rare and wondrous it is to be able to listen to the Buddha Dharma, and now I am able to hear it. If I do not transcend the world of delusion in this life, when will I ever attain spiritual liberation? May I, along with the entire Sangha, with sincere heart and mind, rely on that which can be truly relied on in life, the three treasures. I rely on the Buddha. May I, along with all sentient beings, awaken to the great path with my entire being and discover the highest aspiration, which is to become a Buddha. I rely on the Dharma. May I, along with all sentient beings, deeply reflect on the meanings of the sutra and gain wisdom that is as deep and vast as the ocean. I rely on the Sangha. May I, along with all sentient beings, become one Sangha of life, able to move forward and live with a dynamic spirit that is hindered by nothing. The unsurpassed, deep, and wondrous Dharma, even in millions of kalpas, is extremely difficult to encounter, but now I am able to experience and embrace it. May I come to understand and revere the true meaning of the Tathagata. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Da Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Da Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Well, thank you for joining us again. Thanks to Alan Goto for being our chief tech person here, for Kathy Kumagai and Jeannie Toshima for helping me to get it onto the internet, and to Kathy Mikuni and Kyoko Okura-Gibbs for helping get everything set up today and people registered for the service. Again, forgive me for losing my mask, but everyone's at quite a distance. I have 3 vaccinations and the flu shot. Get the seasonal flu shot too. And I'll put this baby back on, believe me, as soon as I move away from the podium. Now today is our combined Nirvana Day and Pet Memorial Service. So that makes it a special day. But it's not what we call a special service. We have a calendar of special observations, about half a dozen special services where I wear fancier robes. I'm not, ministers either like the robes or they don't, you know. The current bishop, Marvin Harada Sensei, loves the robes. I can't stand them. I want to wear the simplest possible, but that's just me. But for a special service, I wear a more expensive wagesa. This is the mark of a Buddhist priest, not the robe. Anybody can wear one of these robes, and you'll see calligraphers wear them, sometimes flower arrangement people, non-ordained people. But this is the mark of a Buddhist priest in East Asia, the stole. And I am pleased to be here wearing the regular robes for a regular service, but it's a regular day, but you know, every day is a special day. And that's what the Buddha knows that we forget. Every day is a special day. Every service is a special service. But we don't have a special guest speaker today, as we do for our special services most of the time. In fact, during these 2 years of the pandemic, we have not had a guest speaker here at Pasadena Buddhist Temple. We just got off our pace here. We're going to. That will change later this year. Later this year, this fall, we're going to have Amy Umezu Sensei as our speaker, probably our fall Hoigan. We'll probably move it for a week ahead for her. We'll look into that. And we're asking Reverend Koho Takata also to check his calendar for maybe a little earlier in the year. So we'll definitely have some special guests this year. And they'll wear, the funny thing I never understood, because we're travel, I guess the guest travels, so he or she gets to wear the simple robes and the local guy has to wear the fancy heavy ones. So we'll see if either of these ministers bring their fancy robes for this service. This is, again, a combined Pet Memorial and our Nirvana Day, and it's a special opportunity to appreciate the realism that Buddhist tradition takes in its attitude toward death. Passing away, death is neutral for us. It's not intrinsically a bad thing for the one who dies. It can be a good thing if you're old and you're sick. It can be a bad thing if you're young and you're healthy and it's an accident. It's experienced as bad by the unenlightened, death, and by those left behind. We don't like it, But it's not intrinsically looked as bad. It's part of life. It's part of an ongoing process of life. Death looks like an ending to us. It's not. It's a movement within an ongoing process. Now, I have a little Parinirvana image here. Alan was good enough to photograph it, so it'll be at the end of the show, at the end of the program, at the end of the service, you'll be able to see this well on the internet. But this is an embroidery, actually, that was displayed at Shakyamuni Temple about 20 years ago of the Buddha's passing. And you see the monks and you see the animals, and the animals are bereaved, The lion is just had it. I can't bear it. The Buddha's dead, I think there's something to this. Just as with St. Francis of the Christian tradition, I think the Buddha had he emitted kindliness and peace and nonviolence, and animals can feel that. I've had this experience myself. After meditating, I've had dogs attack me and just stop dead because they came in the realm of, I was so focused at that time. So yeah, I think it's probably true that the animals gathered around. They had a couple weeks. They knew he probably died of dysentery. We're not certain, but he got some tainted mushrooms. They weren't poisonous. They were dirty, and so it may well have been amoebic dysentery that he died of. But he was cared for by the monks. His bedding and his clothing were kept clean, and when he passed peacefully, as you see him. We don't usually contrast religions, but there really is a big difference here of our image of the Buddha passing peacefully, as opposed to the Christian tradition with their founder being tortured and murdered and hung on a cross. I'm not saying that they're wrong and we're right. I'm saying there's really a difference here of what we see as spirituality and the kind of guidance and leadership we need. We want to go along together with people. We don't want people to sacrifice themselves for us. We want to go along with them. We want to hold hands and walk through the door together. Wisdom often looks like foolishness, and I'm going to shift into focusing more on the pet memorial side of the service right now. So people who treat dogs and cats and birds really special, you'll hear people say, "Oh, she treats it like a baby. She thinks it's her child." What? It is a baby. It is your child. It is a living being that you have a relationship with. It's a wisdom that in those people who treasure their pets so dearly. It's a deep discernment of the truth about our lives, of the worthiness of all life, of the mutual identity shared by all persons, the shared identity that moves through all living things. There's a sense of that in people who really love their pets. They know there's something more here than a passing breeze. We do, again, go along with the Buddha. The Buddha benefits us as he is being benefited by his own practice. It's not a savior from beyond who suffers horribly to get us out of this place. It's a very different image here. This divinity has to come and suffer our horrible condition in order to get us out of here. And where are we going? Out of here. That's Christianity. Buddhism is the Buddha woke up to what this really is. This is really good. Life is good. Life is beautiful. Life is worthy. Everything I've ever known that is good, beautiful, and worthy came out of this life. The Buddha woke up to this life, and he is going to walk along with us, and he's going to eat and sleep and drink water just like we do. He's not going to be tortured. He's not going to be murdered. He's going to live 80 years and then pass away when the time comes. He's going to be here to help guide us to a fruitful and meaningful life. This is our vision. It's a little different than some other approaches. And we should value animals, particularly the pets whom we regularly interact with and bond with. Some of the dogs and cats I've known, can't we all say that? There's people who have run for president that my dog would have done a better job. All our lives are not separate from theirs. Our lives are not separate from the lives of those pets, from those animals. Our lives blend and intermingle with their lives. There's only one flow of life that moves through all things. Separation is an illusion. You are not alone. Again, we're commemorating the passing away of our religious founder, Shakyamuni Buddha, but this is not an occasion of great sadness for us. He was 80 years old, not 33. He had a fulfilling and a meaningful life and a long life. He was relatively comfortable when he passed away. I don't care what I have. If you give me 16 servants, I'm going to be okay. Can servant number 12 change my bedding now? I'd like a drink of water from servant number 13. They loved him. They were his monks. They weren't slaves or anything, but they were there at his bedside to help him. He did okay. He passed smoothly and peacefully. He said that these dirty mushrooms, these tainted mushrooms that caused him to die, this is the second best meal he ever had. Best meal was the rice gruel that Sujata gave him. When he was 35, he was on the verge of enlightenment, and a young woman named Sujata brought him just like Uncle Ben's cream of rice, just a rice gruel. He ate it, and that gave him the strength he needed to continue his meditation and to awaken to Buddhahood. That was his best meal. The second best meal was the meal that ended his biological life, because for him, all limitation fell away and freedom continued. What is that? We don't know. We don't have a theory of a soul, but the Buddha was content that he was moving into a new life that would be fulfilling and nothing to worry about. He could let the body drop away at that point. Not because there's a spirit that goes on, because there's a brand new life for him, a life beyond our complete understanding. Again, death for him was a cancellation of any limitations that were upon him. And we get a sense of what his life as a Buddha was going to be from the Sanbutsuge that we chanted today. The Sanbutsuge is a model of luminous wisdom. So luminosity or light is a model. It's not quite just a metaphor. There are metaphors. We use metaphors. And in the Sanbutsuge it says the Buddha has ruby lips. Now, don't think Tory spelling. Just take Tory, move that out. Not like that. But, ruby lips, just they were red is all. Okay, that's a metaphor. Come on. But the idea that it's a luminosity, that there's a light we're entering into, that's more of a model. That's a piece. There's isomorphism there. A piece of the structure is in that image. It is an illumination, Nirvana. Buddhas come to have realms of influence. This is what the Sanbutsuge tells us. And within this realm of influence, they lead many to freedom and happiness. Awoken Buddhas have a purifying effect within their realm of influence, eliminating the three poisons of greed, hatred, and stupidity, increasing wisdom, compassion, kindness, and caring. This is what we learn in the text of the Sanbutsuge that we chanted. The Buddha was an exemplar of Dana, Shila, Shanti, Virya, and Prajna, of giving, selfless giving, of decent, wholesome conduct, comporting himself in a decent, appropriate way. Shanti, patience, and the ability to deal with hardship from others. In particular, what Buddhists mean by patience is putting up with insults from others. That's the most important thing. Just take it and don't give it back if you can. Try not to give it back. Dana, Shila, Shanti, Virya, hard work. Dhyana, meditation, and Prajna, wisdom, insight. The Buddha is an exemplar of these, we are told in that liturgical piece we chanted, the San Butsuge. Another source for understanding what the historical Buddha can be is something we sometimes use as a devotional reading. Didn't use it today. Today I'll read it within the service, within the Dharma message. This is The Way of the Bodhisattva, which is in our own Dharma school teacher's service book and some other service books. And this is a passage from The Way of the Bodhisattva from the 8th century. And I will read this. The Bodhisattva, one in training to be a Buddha. May I be a medicine for the sick and weary, nursing them until their afflictions are gone. This is what a Buddha is, the best nurse you ever met. Nursing them until their afflictions are gone forever. I would be a protector of the helpless, a guide for travelers, and a means for their crossing the stream. A lamp for those who need a lamp, a bed for those who need a bed, a servant for those who need a servant. May all find happiness through my actions, and let no one suffer because of me. Whether they love me or hate me, may those feelings be the source of their fulfillment. Those who mock me, accuse me, or wrong me, may they all attain enlightenment. May they all awaken to Buddhahood. The Way of the Bodhisattva. Whereas paramitas, the dana shila shanti virya, dhyana prajna, giving, wholesome conduct, patience, serious effort, focus, and wisdom, where these are important guidelines that focus on self-improvement. We see what the Buddha is becoming. He, she is becoming something more than they were. The Bodhisattva ideal, however, focuses more on others. What can we do? If they need a servant, we'll be a servant, you know? We'll give them what they need. An even shorter way of putting this is, besides the Way of the Bodhisattva, that little summary, is the 4 great vows that we're told all Buddhas make in their training to become awoken. Buddha's promise, firstly and foremost, to attain the highest enlightenment, even though it is inconceivable, they will promise to attain that highest enlightenment, and the Buddha did that. Shakyamuni Buddha did that. They promise to overcome all the deluding passions. We still have to have desires, you know. It's when you're thirsty, you should drink. You know, that's our basic analogy for what goes wrong, thirsting. That's the term that's used for greed. We all talk about greed, but it's actually thirsting in the original text. And the reason is because, you know, when you're thirsty, all you want is water. Nothing else matters. You know what I mean? If I'm dying of thirst and this guy pulls up in a Lamborghini and says, "Would you like Lamborghini?" My question will be, does it have any water in it? That's all you care about. That's fine when you're actually dying of thirst. But when you just obsess about something like, I gotta see that James Bond movie. I haven't seen the James Bond movie. I've got to see that James Bond movie. I gotta get the Rolling Stones album as soon as it comes out. If you'd have told me 50 years ago that I wouldn't have heard the last 5 Rolling Stones albums, I wouldn't have believed it. I don't even think it's worth listening to anymore. But you know, you gotta have it. You gotta have it. I remember when the Beatles' White Album came out. I'm embarrassed to tell you the truth. This one little record store in Fresno had it, and it was like, you know, $8 or something like that. And the big warehouse records was sold out, and they were going to get it the next day. And the clerk at this little record store told me, they're going to get it at warehouse tomorrow if you want to wait, because it's like $5 at warehouse and $8 this way. I bought the $8 copy, you know. I was one of those guys. I got to have it now. Why? You can wait till tomorrow. Half of it's on the radio already. That kind of thirsting is a problem. But when you're thirsty, you drink. The Buddha got thirsty, he drank. It's okay to have natural desires, but those compelling desires, that thirsting for something you don't need, the Buddha let go of that. And he promised to help others to do so as well in the process. I will be free of all the deluding passions, although they occur endlessly. I will learn the truth in its entirety, although it is infinite, endless. I will learn all of the truth, and I will liberate all suffering and deluded beings, although they are numberless. These 4 vows are said to be taken by all the Buddhas, and we can see that this is, again, benefiting others while being benefited oneself. Jiri Rita, not sacrificing himself. The Buddha didn't sacrifice himself. He became more and more powerful, insightful, happy, composed, while leading others to live that kind of life as well. In classical Chinese, Jiri and Rita. You know, I've never known anyone named Rita. Next time you have a friend named Rita, let me tell her, I'll give her this in Chinese, because it's a great name, Rita. It means you benefit others, you give to others. Jiri means I get. And what we're saying, Jiri, Rita, one thing. If you were really helping others, you're going to find out you're getting better. Things are going better for you. If you really help yourself, you'll be able to help others. They go together. You know, if you burn out, you can't help others. Take care of yourself. But then use that energy and that composure, that help to help others. Jiri Rita, benefiting others while being benefited in the process. This is the Buddha way. This is the way the Buddha spoke of. Doing for others while being helped oneself. Speaking of doing for others, let me just take a short commercial pause here to say, the Pasadena Buddhist Temple is in the process of receiving bids for mosquito abatement and asbestos abatement. And I think we got our last bid in, but we haven't got the final decision yet, but it's going to be some tens of thousands of dollars to get the asbestos out of the temple building and that one office room that's dangerous. This is not dangerous, nothing loose here. We're okay. But we got to do this. So if you can help us financially, please do so. 1993 Glen, 91103, Pasadena, California. We certainly appreciate all the help that you've already been to this temple. So let me again, not to criticize the other religion, but to show how different we are from the dominant Christian tradition in this country. Jesus sacrificed himself. That's the vision they have. The Buddha did not sacrifice himself. The Buddha pursued fulfillment and said, oh yeah, Cindy could use some of this too. Kyoko could use this. Yeah, shared it with all of us, this insight, his understanding, but in the process of making life better for himself, of living more fully, more strongly, more vigorously. The Buddha benefits us while he is being, he, she, they are being benefited in the process. There's a depth to the image of the Christ event, but there's also a profundity to the deep and a deep humanness to this Buddhist image of being composed in giving his final teachings. He just lay there and we always say what his final teachings were, but there are two final teachings. And the first teaching is that who's supposed to be the leader? Right? You got, we don't know, about 500 monks, we think, about 500 at the time. So who's the top guy? And I'll tell you what happened, what did they do in Asia? They went by seniority. They made the oldest monk the head. But he didn't tell them to do that. He said, let the rules of moral behavior be your guide. You want to know who the leader is? Dana, Shila, Shanti, Virya, Samadhi, Prajna. Selfless giving, decent living, patience, hard work, focus, wisdom, insight. That should be your leader. That was the second to last teaching given by the Buddha. Who should be our leader? That should be your leader, not some guy, not some gal. And then his very last words were, be lamps unto yourselves. My friend, the late Dr. Roger Corliss used to say, the Sanskrit here is really vague. It might be more lamps amongst yourselves. So there's a question of whether, is he saying, June, you should be a lamp to yourself, or is he saying, hey you guys, hey you gals, together, following those rules of order, keeping moral decency, trying to help others, you can do this. Together, we can do this. Together. Who will lead us? The rules of conduct will lead us. Who decides? We'll decide together. But the dominant interpretation actually is that he means, June, you decide for yourself, which is good. It's existential. It means whatever I tell you, you're going to make your own decision anyway. Sartre was very good on that, you know, on this point. You always make your own choice. Let me say that, you know, when my dad was terminally ill, I discontinued the respirator. Let me say one of you came to me and said, here's the situation, should I discontinue the respirator? What do you think? And Kyoko tells you, no, no, don't take it off. And I say, yeah, under the circumstances, I discontinue the respirator. So what are you going to do? What you choose, right? That's what Sartre pointed out about advice. When you take advice, you still decide whose advice to follow. It's always your choice. So there's something to this, the usual interpretation. There's also something to Corliss's interpretation. Yes, yes, I am a lamp unto myself with your help, with this tradition, with this temple, with these books, with these services, with this liturgy. Yes, we can be guides unto ourselves, and this is what the Buddha told us to do. Be lamps unto yourselves. Don't follow leaders. Watch parking meters. You know, the guides for just moral restraint are not too different from other religions. I mean, our 4 great vows are different from what you hear in some other religions. Avoid all deluding passions. Be patient at all times. Give to everyone. Learn the entirety of the truth. You know, the positive side of it, there's a lot to do there. Learn an infinite Dharma. Help everyone, even though beings are numberless. But the rules of conduct, you know, don't kill, don't lie, don't steal, don't misuse human sexuality. That's kind of left open, but it means don't hurt yourself or others with sexuality. And don't sell hard liquor was what the original precept was. But the actual translation, literal translation from the Sanskrit, do not deal in wine and delusion. But what's really important here is, number one, don't kill. Because, you know, a lot of religions say don't kill. And, you know, we say don't kill. And, you know, what we mean is don't kill. So many other religions, you know, Judaic tradition distinguishes between killing and murdering. We don't. War is organized murder. We're opposed to all the wars. Don't kill. We really mean that. We don't make excuses, no rationalizations, no escape clause. Just stop taking life and instead participate in bringing freedom, happiness, and goodness to others. Guide others to live well. You and I can actively participate in the liberation of all beings. We will give much to many one day. Ours is the path, again, of helping others while being benefited ourselves. Even as our study of the Dharma benefits us with greater clarity, greater peace, greater composure, a larger capacity to love, we're able to do for others better then. Shakyamuni Buddha opened out this path where we gain great benefit ourselves and work to decrease the suffering and increase the freedom of others, eventually all others, including all animal life, including probably most plant life. Anything sentient, anything that has experience, we must liberate, help to gain liberation. The Buddha Shakyamuni passed away peacefully at the age of 80, surrounded by friends and admirers, admiring students. Most accounts mention that his son Rahula was at his side. This is our vision. Walk together into the light, pass peacefully into a new life, into an ocean of light. I wish the Buddha could have been here. To this day, I'd like to take a photo of him. Let's move on. I remember a couple photos. I was going to take a photo with the Dalai Lama once, and he got busy. And I remember thinking, I'm glad I never took a photo with him. I don't follow him. He's a nice guy. But I was going to take a photo with Masao Abe once, famous Zen teacher, and I regret that I didn't get that because he was a friend of mine. My friends I care more about than great people. Great figures all have clay feet, you know. You look hard enough, you'll find the clay in the foot. I wish the Buddha was here, but he's not. And he left all these teachings, and these great students give me all these teachings. But you know who I really wish was here? Every one of those pets I've lost. Every one of those pets. I miss them. It would be a conceit to say I miss Shakyamuni. I never met him. He's been gone for 25 centuries. I miss Queenie the cat. I miss Cindy Kitty. I named her for that awful Johnny Crawford song in 1962. You remember that? Oh, it was terrible. The guy had no voice at all. Cindy Kitty. I miss her. She's my favorite. Sheppy. He was an Australian shepherd is how he got his name. I miss Sheppy. I miss Space Captain, who was a black cat. Fella the Chihuahua. He was really smart. I miss every pet I've had. I miss every animal I've bonded with. Death is hard to deal with even now for some of us, for me. And that's why we have these services, to come to terms with it, to be mindful of the truth of it all, and to come to terms with it. Death will come one day. That death can be an entering into an ocean of light from which we benefit many, including especially those we've been close to in this life. This is our teaching. This is what I wanted to share here on our combined Nirvana Day and Pet Memorial Service. I thank you for attending or watching from a distance. I will close the Dharma message portion of the service with Gasho and saying the Buddha's name, and then I'll call Kyoko up for another reading. We rely upon the source of limitless wisdom and endless life. Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. And now we will hear a devotional reading from Kyoko.
Closing a meditative reading. The spirit of Buddha is that of great loving kindness and compassion. The great loving kindness is the spirit to save all people by any and all means. The great compassion is the spirit that prompts it to be ill with the illness of people, to suffer with their suffering. Your suffering is my suffering, and your happiness is my happiness, said Buddha. And just as a mother always loves her child, he does not forget the spirit even for a single moment. For it is the nature of Buddhahood to be compassionate. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyoko. We have reached the closing aspect of the service, which is announcements. So we're going to roll back into gear this week, as long as the numbers don't go up. And I'll be teaching Tai Chi 1 o'clock Tuesday and Thursday. 11 o'clock Tuesday morning, a little discussion class, probably on the porch of the temple. That's Tuesday morning at 11. And then Tuesday evening at 6 o'clock meditation class. For the time being, be here in the classroom. At 7 o'clock, study and discussion class. We'll be here next Sunday at 10 a.m. for our, which service is it next week? Regular service, Sunday service? It's the 27th, right, be the last Sunday. So we will be back here in the classroom, we're pretty sure. Yeah, I'm going to call Jeannie up, and anyone else has an announcement.
Tuesday morning, we're going to do the origami at 9:30 on Zoom.
Okay, and how do they get the Zoom link for the origami?
Email me. Email the temple and I'll send it to you.
Okay, email Pasadena Buddhist Temple and or Jeannie Toshima, and you will get a link for the origami paper folding class this Tuesday morning, 9:30. Yeah, the lady who does it is really good. Other announcements? Further announcements? No? Okay, we'll close the service for this morning, if we may. I thank you all for joining, and we'll be back next Sunday at 10 a.m. I'll see some of you during the week. We rely upon the source of limitless wisdom and endless life. Namo Amida Butsu, 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 Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ellen. Thank you, Kathy.
Of course, thanks for coming. And from next week, I'll start having like a meditation class at noon on Sunday and a discussion class at 1.
Thank you. For putting
We're just coming back out of the
You like that?
pandemic, so we've been closed for several months. Oh, good. No. Thank you. Yeah. You live in the neighborhood? You live in the neighborhood?
So, Winnie,